my known first interaction with you was editing your chapter for Braun and Cohen.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so that's back in, you would have been writing that in 2013, I think.
Yeah, that was amazing, yeah.
So you had, just so that people understand your journey, because it is quite different, let's go back over what you did qualification-wise and all of that sort of stuff to get to that point of being asked to write a chapter for Braun and Cohen.
So I started studying when I was sort of in my mid-20s, and then I just knew that I was meant to be a naturopath, even though I didn't really know what that was. I just loved the concept of the course, and the principles behind natural medicine just resonated so deeply, made so much sense, and so good. And then after I graduated, I was a bit sad that I suppose I couldn't. I sort of left my network in many ways. You know, the people that I studied with, my bosses at the time, lecturers, and so I sort of was really on my own up in central Queensland, so in Gladstone, where I went. So I started just working out of a gym. Actually, it was the size of I've got a shoebox here, and it was about that size. So basically, yeah, I was just a solo pracky. Within 6 months, it got pretty busy, and I realised that there was a real need for this type of medicine and what I did in that town. And so that pretty quickly went into a multimodality clinic, and I worked there for about 4 years. And an email from Dr. Leslie Braun thought that this might be something that you might be interested. Would you be interested in contributing to a couple of chapters with for Braun and Cohen? And of course, that being the Bible when I was studying, it was an absolutely strong yes. And and so that's how I met you. I'm coming up to 10 years this year, which is pretty it's hard to believe. But so after I had my daughter, about 4.5, 5 years into that Gladstone clinic, I realized that was not sustainable to do it all anymore. And I just felt like I sort of wanted to change as well. So I had another really good conversation with you about being working in a clinic and seeing people face to face. What are my other options when I've got a little one and I'm limited on time? But then at that point in time as well, I had a really good relationship with a woman called Joy McClymont, and she had just started up basically a holistic health hub for people who live very remotely. And she just asked if I could do some of the nutrition sort of coaching and content for that group as well. And there was only about 30 people when we started. And of course, that was no dramas, and I really wanted to do that. And so from there, I realized that actually there's a huge group of people beyond even my little regional centre that I'm in now, that are far more remote and isolated than that, and that actually really are looking for and need integrative support. And so now I'm pretty much exclusively, so the consults that I'm doing are all pretty much phone or Zoom, and they're for people who live really in some incredibly remote parts of Australia. So that's really rewarding, and I absolutely love working with that demographic. Yeah.
I said to you before, do people say to you, how can you possibly still be studying? You're a degree qualified naturopath. You went on and did your master's in dietetics. You had got 10 years of experience, and
it's just a non-negotiable that of my time I have a good solid chunk of that is dedicated to mentoring or upskilling or continued education, basically, probably more than what our minimum should be. It's far beyond that, because I think it needs to be, and it always comes back in dividends like that. Even just the investment in mentoring has been it's literally been invaluable, because I couldn't put a value on what the past 5 years of that mentoring in many different areas and many different contexts has actually given me in regards to skills and resources, and therefore better outcomes, for the patient. Yeah. So
it's so fascinating to me. I was lucky enough, I had a big chat with Jill Stannard at the beginning of the year. Jill and I touched on this same thing about, if you don't want to learn forever, you're probably in the wrong career, and you build it in, and you find a way to build it in, and you don't sort of shunt it to 11 o'clock at night because I've just got to do all the other stuff first. I think there is reward that comes back from that
Yeah, and I look back on that first couple of years, and that's how I felt. I got through, and I did the best I could based on what I knew. But now I look back and I think my only regret is that I didn't actually start this straight off the bat, because I think that would have really helped in those early years, just especially with laying the foundations with, pathology interpretation and all different skills. And, I don't think, I was thinking about this yesterday because I was rummaging through my RAND folder, as I often do. And I thought, I don't think a day goes past on a work day that I'm not referring to that folder and going, how do I do that equation to transfer, this to that? What was, Rachel shared a document about X, Y, Z, and now I've got a patient that is really relevant to, and it might have been 3 years ago that you shared that, but, it's filed away somewhere. And so it's even more important for me to put aside that time to do that ongoing mentoring and upskilling because I live regionally, but secondly, because I'm also a solo practitioner. And so I don't have a team of people necessarily, even just within a broader allied health perspective, to sort of run things by. And so, I think it's really important for me to have that, because I don't have it around me.
So this year, you've done general group mentoring for, I think, about 3 years or 2 or 3 years, something like that. And then this year you also went in and did the mental health primer, which is lecture based, kind of more tutorial based, revisiting all our groundwork. You might have noticed around the room that there were some people new to practice, but a lot of people very experienced.
And also having a group that is just dedicated to mental health is really important for the demographic, for everybody, but especially for the demographic that I work in, because, initially I would see predominantly women. Now I'm seeing a lot of men as well. And with that is coming a bit more, mental health presentations. And so I just felt like also now is the time, okay, I need to sharpen my tools.
I'm sorry, but my heart just sings when you say that the remote men, the men living remotely, are now presenting to you and they're telling you about their mental health.
It's a really special thing that they do that. It got goosebumps as well.
I know, me too. I'm on my legs right now.
Yeah.
Well, I salute you in your eternal student journey, because I relate, as you know, I have my own mentors. As you know, I go and do the next, class in this and course in this, and I learn off you guys, you learn off me. I love it. Well, thank you so much for having the chat with me today, Stacey. It's been really, really lovely. And
thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.